Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And, today's hearing is to address the status of agency responses to committee document requests. I want to make clear that I fully support the committee's authority to obtain documents as part of our investigative function. However, we on this committee also have a duty not to send overbroad requests that actually cause the waste and inefficiency we are trying to root out. Mr. Esquella, last month your agency received a letter from this committee seeking a large amount of information about art and artifacts possessed by your agency. The letter stated, and I quote, "Art collections in federal buildings bring creative and artistic beauty to public spaces and create attractive work environments for federal employees and the public that they serve. These taxpayer-funded art programs, however, raise the potential for wasteful spending," end of quote. To your knowledge, have there been any specific examples of art possessed by your agency that have been identified by the committee as wasteful? To your knowledge.
To my knowledge, no. And I know my walls are fairly sparse, so I'm not aware of any problems in this area.
Is this a widespread problem at HHS?
I am not aware this is a problem, sir.
Are any of you aware of any concerns that have been raised by the GAO of your agency's inspector or your agency's IG about wasteful spending on your art or artifacts? Mr. Meyer?
No, sir.
Mr. Shalansky?
No, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Esquella, you were not alone. In fact, the committee sent these letters to 27 different agencies. Mr. Meyer, DHS received one as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we did, sir.
The committee's letter requested every document, and I quote, "referring or relating to the number, nature, location, and monetary value of art and artifacts in your agency's possession." Were you aware that 26 other agencies received this request, including the U.S. Fine Arts Commission and the National Archives and Records Commission?
I was aware that some other agencies had received it. I wasn't aware of who they all were.
Okay, and the letter also asked for documents relating to the resources used by the agency to preserve art and manage exhibits, insurance premiums paid on art and artifacts, contracts related to art and artifacts, and pending purchases and acquisitions of art and artifacts. The Department of Homeland Security has 16 different operational and support components. Can you describe the type of resources that will be needed to comply with these requests?
Well, as I understand it, to fully comply with this request, we would have to look at every location that DHS maintains. I believe we are located in all 50 states. We have approximately 230,000 employees. Just in the National Capital Region, we have over 50 locations, so it would be substantial, the number of resources required.
Thank you for that response. The Department of Defense told the committee that responding to this request will require, and I quote, "reaching across the military departments and agencies to seek specific documents and detailed information from numerous and diverse defense facilities." It seems like the real waste here is the resources agencies will have to expend to respond to this request. Again, let me be clear. If there is some specific allegation or abuse, or if there is a case in which someone comes to us to allege waste, fraud, or abuse, that's fine. But this is a fishing expedition across the entire Federal government, and I don't think that it serves the taxpayers well. And, I'll yield to my friend, the Chairman. Maybe you can explain why we are expending so many resources to do this, Mr. Chairman. I mean, look, the Department of Defense, don't you think they have some more important things to do, like fight terrorism?
One of the things sitting before us, the reason we have Homeland Security here, is our investigation into the Secret Service. And that's been as bipartisan as can possibly be.
And then it gets into art and artifacts?
Well,
What is that all about?
again, let's focus on the hearing here. I think there is a good, there is millions of dollars going out the door in art and artifacts. I will talk to you more about that, but the gentlemen that are sitting here before us have topics that are very relevant to the committee. And Homeland Security, which you asked a question, Secret Service, it couldn't be more bipartisan.
Mr. Chairman, don't you think those are kind of onerous requests that don't have anything to do with waste, fraud, and abuse? I think it is to ask the Department of Defense.
The Department of Defense is not testifying today.
I know it, but you requested that
Yes, and I think
information from them.
when you see the conclusion of this, I think you'll be mystified as to how we're spending millions and millions of dollars going out the door and how it's housed.
We
That's
would
one of the parts
discuss-
of our jurisdiction
Sure.
is the Department of Archives.
I don't have a problem with that, but I would love to discuss this further with you.
Happy to do
And
so.
to see the evidence that
Happy-
is
what we-
uncovered.
Until the agency provides that information, we have reason to believe that there is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. And to ask these agencies to provide that information, which should be right at their fingertips, tell us what's in your possession, that is not a difficult request.
I await the responses.
Thank you.